Welcome to Kat's Crypto Peepcast. Revealing reviews, titillating tech talk, never, ever financial advice. This is a very special episode as it's the first official AMA done by Kat's Crypto Peepshow. People are finally catching on, eh? And Divide, the CEO and co-founder of the Sentries Solana NFT and blockchain infrastructure company, said that this was his most enjoyable AMA up to that moment. I'm not surprised. So grab a snack and the beverage of your choice and enjoy. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Sentries Solana NFT Mint Day AMA with Kat's Crypto Peepshow. I am Katherine Jenkins. I'm here with my right-hand man, Bhattman, and Divide, who is the co-founder and co-creator. Is that your title at Sentries, Divide?
We're not too big on Sentries, on titles here at Sentries, but yeah, I'm the project lead and one of the co-founders.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you joined me for this. Just to start off, I want to let everyone know that this AMA is made possible by Kat's Crypto Peepshow VIP Room, which was just launched last week on the 11th. This is our private area of my Discord where we put community and values first. Anyone who auditions and is accepted for VIP before September 8th receives a 14-week free trial. Oh, whoops. I love you guys, but it's a 14-day trial, not a 14-week trial. And the OG VIP Peep roll, which you will have forever, even if you cancel and come back later. This gives you special perks and benefits to anything that we decide to do in the future with Kat's Crypto Peep Show, whether that be NFT collections or tokens or what have you. So I have pinned a link about that if you're interested. And with no further ado, we will get on with the main event here, which is Sentries. So once again, congrats on selling out so easily in such a shitty market. Like I said, I'm impressed by that. You were able to sell out a collection that has, or a project that has a fairly, like, not unrecognizable, but kind of niche. It's very niche, like validator as a service, like RPCs. These are words like most people don't understand. And we've seen collections that have very mainstream use cases like music industry, for example. Like these types of things are struggling right now. So I think that is very impressive. So why don't you tell everyone here what exactly Sentries is? What is your project and what does it do?
Yeah, I'd love to. And thanks so much for having us on today. And I encourage everybody to check out the big screen and check out what Kat was just telling you about. My name's Divide from Sentries, and Sentries is a blockchain infrastructure as a service company. What that means is we're a PFP project, but in a few short, bit of time, we're going to be running hundreds of validators and thousands of RPC nodes, and we're going to share those rewards back with holders of Sentries. And the way that you become eligible for those rewards is you take your Sentry, you go to staking.sentries.io, and you stake your Sentry into the power grid. From there, you'll start to appear in the snapshots, and then as we grow our business together, you'll be eligible for those rewards. But if you need more rewards today, we run a validator, and it's called The Load. It's currently operating on mainnet. Just means the main blockchain network, and the main Solana blockchain network, and you can power up your Sentry PFP by staking Sol in our validator. And if you do that, you get increased rewards beyond what other validators would offer. There's much more to it, but I'll leave it at that. And I just want to say we sold out this morning on Bifrost. We're the second project to launch on Bifrost, and that is one of my favorite teams and peoples in the world. And Sentries is currently #1 on the popular collections on Magic Eden, knocking on the door of 5,000 Solana volume on secondary market. So go out and sweep those Sentries, and then we just re-inject all those profits back into the business. So let's do it together. Thanks, Kat.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Divide. Now, I would like to know, Divide, how would you explain all that to my grandmother?
Yeah, so like basically we run a savings account and it pays us 6% a year. And other people should have savings accounts on the blockchain, but savings accounts on the blockchain are really hard to set up. And so you need somebody to do that for you. And so we're going to set up a bunch of savings accounts for a bunch of other projects on the blockchain. And then they'll pay us like a monthly services fee in order to do so.
Amazing. I love it. I'm going to call up my grandma after this and tell her all about Sentries.
I love it. I love it. You know, I gotta say, like my grandmother, I grew up with my mom and her mom, and my grandmother is one of the most influential people in my life. So shout out to the grandmothers out there.
Amazing. That takes us into the next question I wanted to ask you. So you are in Northern Cali, correct?
That I am.
Okay, awesome. Have you always lived there?
No, no, I actually started off in the Midwest. I'm from a very boring place that I hate to go back to.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I wanted to know, when you were a small child, did you dream of becoming the CEO slash founder of an NFT project?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I look back on my journals as a kindergartner now, and it's crazy how like prescient they were about what my life would become. It's so funny though because I'm pretty old, you know, and so obviously you know blockchain was something that came into my life. Like you know, I was obviously aware of it. But I actually and I heard in Liberty Square I was talking with Liberty earlier today, and you know he kind of ended up starting a project after like going through an injury, and like that's actually a similar story to how I made it to crypto. I was in I played music. I was playing in a touring band, and I really hurt my back on you know on like a tour, and I ended up and I was always interested in, and that's why I was interested in NFTs also. Like I always saw them as this opportunity to like give more directly to the creators and kind of cut out the middleman as musicians, as artists, as filmmakers, and what have you. But so that was like it was always on the periphery, blockchain, NFTs in particular. I was like, these are cool. I really like them. I get it. I'm a collectibles kind of person. And then so then I hurt my back, and I found myself like you know on medication for a long time and like laid up, and that was kind of that sucked. It was horrible. Don't get me wrong. Don't ever do that. But that was like the opportunity that I needed to like dive into blockchain. And so, no, I mean, you know, this is something that's brand new to me, but you know, I've always felt, you know, sort of out like an outsider a bit. Like I'm not like the kid. I wasn't a goth kid or anything. Like I would like I've always blended, but I've always felt like you know kind of an outcast. But I gotta say like it's been music and then it's really been blockchain over the last you know year or so that's like I'm really sort of finding a home for myself even though I'm a little bit older now.
Cool. What do you play? What instruments do you play?
I mostly play guitar, and at this point, it's I'm like I like hung it up, and you know I'm washed up at this point. But um, I do have a fresh, new, vibrant blockchain infrastructure as a service company that is going to take up a lot of my time going forward because this is actually just day one of the project, despite all the blood, sweat, and tears of the past months for sure.
Yeah, the blockchain is your new instrument.
You know what? It really is, and I gotta say, like, I haven't really. I really like this discussion because, you know, most of the time I'm talking about validators and stuff. But what I have found is the performance element of it is a big part of spaces, right? Like, I've really
Oh
replaced
yeah.
that sort of desire, right? Like, I'm not a front man. I hadn't been. You know, now I'm a front man of a band, right? I'm a front man of a blockchain infrastructure project. But it gets at the same thing, right? Like you know, it's a version of you, right? But
Yeah.
it's more public. It's really public, and you're really out there, and so it does scratch the same itch, I must say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Um, cool. Well, what I wanted to ask, why did you choose Solana? Like, were you considering other chains before, or did you always have your sights set on Solana?
So me personally, and then Zero X Nalik, our CTO, we met in like an alpha Discord, and we weren't even when we first met. Like Solana was like kind of on our radar. Nalik was investing in Invictus, which was an Ohm fork during like that whole Ohm fork run at the end of last year, early this year. But we were pretty agnostic on chain as sort of individuals, right? Like we were playing around on AVAX trading NFTs and shit coins, and we were on Arbitrum, and we were on near, and like we were just doing any just kind of just going wherever the liquidity was. But then Dave, our chief creative officer, and who Dave came up with the artwork and the lore and the gamification elements of the project. He was building a gaming project, and he was like, as he was like looking at his options, he was like, well, obviously this has to be built on Solana. Like there's no comparison. Like 13 transactions per second on EVM versus 3,500 on Solana, except when Sentries is minting, we got it down to under 1,000 TPS, I think.
Yes, you did.
um, but yeah, so like that was kind of this aha moment, I think, for all of us, where it's like, okay, gaming, yeah, that's a way you can onboard more people. Okay, Solana, yeah, that's something that you can that can support the speed that's necessary to do this at scale. And so, that's how we came to Solana, because still I'm super bullish on the chain. Like a lot of our future right now in the short term as Sentries is tied to the success of Solana. There's 2,100 validators on Solana right now. And validators is the same thing as like miners on Ethereum, right? There's 400,000 miners on Ethereum. And so like we got a long ways to go, but if we get there, I promise you Sentries is going to be a part of that infrastructure.
Got it. This is something that Bhattman was curious about. He wanted me to, he was going to ask you. We were really impressed that you had released some open source tools. And I'm not sure if a lot of people know this. So can you talk a bit about those tools, what they are?
Yeah, 100%. So, there's our CTO, Zero X Nalik, is really a big believer in this, and this whole idea of like you build on the shoulders of giants, right? And so open source is something for him that's like, very important as like a part of the business. And so, as we were, as I look back on it, we were pretty rigorous in the way that we were running Sentries for leading in the pre-mint period. So, we had certain metrics that we were looking at. We had a weekly meeting with all of the admins, and we had, kind of a weekly doc that we used, and we had metrics that we tracked and initiatives and how we were progressing on all of those. And so ultimately the tools that we open source were the ones that we put together to help us monitor and understand things better. So things like,
oh, yeah.
Discord role, so it's not like, hey, we're trying to compete with Mercury for wallet submission, but it's like, hey, when we run a collab, as long as we do a collab in this channel, we can hit the Discord API and basically make this somewhat programmatic for our accounts. Like, and also because that's what we would look at, like, hey, we collabed with this DAO, and we gave you 50 spots and 25 people actually showed up, whereas like on this other one it's totally filled, right? And so that's kind of one tool. And then the other tool that we were doing was just like a scraping tool for Magic Eden's API, as well as like Twitter. And so when we're benchmarking ourselves against other projects, on Magic Eden, how many Twitter followers do they have? How many Discord members, how many Discord online, all that kind of stuff. So this is just stuff that we put together to help inform how we went forward with our business, and sort of what was the right time to sort of push things. Now, I'll tell you what, I don't even know, like I think something just happened, and things kind of just took off. I don't think, but we were prepared when they did. And so like those are the kind of tools that we want to offer to other people, because then you don't have to pay for a solution that you may not need. You may just need something scrappy, right?
Yeah, and that's great, because you don't see that a lot on Solana. Like a lot of things are like hush hush. You have to like talk to someone who knows, how to build something. It's not like on Ethereum, for example, where like there's tons of open source things. So it's really cool to see that, and it sounds like that's what you guys thought as well. Like there should be more things that are open source on Solana, right?
Yeah, 100%. We were like, well, why isn't this stuff out there? Like, can't we just,
Yeah.
this is just Nalik and I going like, can't we, they have APIs. Can't we
Right.
just do this? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you guys plan to release more things like that? Like have more open source things in the future?
Yeah. I mean, 100%, because I mean, we have certain ideas about where we want to take the business and the opportunities that are available, right? Like in the short term, we want to continue to scale out our validator and RPC node operations. But like beyond that, like like Nalik is a software developer. He's a gifted software developer. And he has a network and close friends that are gifted software developers. And so a big part of what we want to accelerate is our ability to bring those folks onto the Sentries team full time. Rewinding back to the initial plan for our business, it was a 10,000 collection at I think 2.5 Sol mint, and really it was going to be that the other money beyond the validator funds that we're going to self stake was really around bringing on developers full time, right? There was no world in which any of us as founders were taking any money. It was all just kind of what was the ramp on the developer onboarding going to look like. So this would be a great topic for Nalik to hit, and I think we'll probably do maybe like an AMA or a Discord chat about open source and his philosophies, because he definitely feels passionately about this.
That's awesome. So you're obviously connected with developers, like some Rust devs, but you don't have any on the team right now, like officially. Is that what's going on?
So we do. So Nalik is a Rust dev, and
okay, so he is on the team. Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, he's our CTO. He's a core member of the team, and then also his business partner is somehow an even more like technically gifted developer. So we have 2 devs on the team, but the thing is, it's like, it's partners, and so it's, they're doing us favors, or they're working for less money than they could otherwise. And so, we really want to be able to compensate them at the rate at which they deserve to be compensated.
Yeah, because you guys have been bootstrapping this up until now, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. 100%. We've been bootstrapping it.
Yeah.
I'm running payroll every 2 weeks, and it's I mean, but you put the processes in place now and you build on top of those, versus like I get to mint out and then I'll figure it out. Like what a nightmare that would be for us if we didn't have a lot of these like systems in place, even if they'll evolve over time.
Whoops, I muted myself. I said, yeah, seriously. So Bhattman, did that answer your question about the open source stuff?
Yeah, no, that definitely answered my question. I like that a lot, actually, just because I've seen from my own experiences as somewhat of a builder, but more so as an advisor to some of these projects, the number one complaint is always that there aren't a lot of open source things, and that they have to really go out of their way to either find something or build something, and they really don't even get that much help. From the ecosystem. So I think it's great that you are going out of your way to do all of this stuff. Huge round of applause for that.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. One thing that I would say, not even necessarily related to Sentries, but I think like what's special about, kind of 0x Nalik's approach is he's a developer like first, but also he's like an incredible manager and leader of people. And so, I think that's like a rare combination. Like I think in general, like there's like really great developers and there's really great people managers, but having really great developers that are great people managers and shit, I think you could probably say this about a lot of disciplines. I'm a marketer. How I make my living. And like, there's a lot of great individual marketers that are horrible people managers and vice versa. I think that this idea of fostering an ecosystem and like trying to actually build a better future versus like paying lip service to that and just trying to get market share. Like now like actually wants to build a better future. And so like that's why I'm bullish on him and then Sentries.
Nice. Yeah, you're making me bullish on Malik too. Very cool.
You know what? I gotta say, okay, look, I'm biased, and I'm not spending too much time gassing him up. But like, this is a dude that is like, so he's young. He's a bit younger than I am. But I mean, in every sense, I would consider him a mentor. Like he's like really like helped me navigate crypto and blockchain and brought these like I didn't know about validators and RPC nodes, like a year ago, and so. But I think it's just there are people like this out there, and I'm hoping that we do get an actual builder meta where people, but also like where you know how to market your project. You know what I mean? It's like it's not about just building. Like you have to market, you have to get out there and do this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I wanted to ask, what made you go with Bifrost over, say, like Magic Eden? Were you looking at other options as well, or what attracted you to that launchpad?
So we're recorded. All right. So we talked to all the launchpad providers, and they were all equal and very nice to us. But look, we did talk to many of the launchpad providers. And what I can tell you in no uncertain terms is that the first time we talked to them, they all said no. They all said no for different reasons, but they all said no. And that sucks. And that doesn't feel good as a project. And it wasn't a hard no, right? But it was like, hey, like we don't think y'all are there, right? Like you need to do more. And they gave us specific examples, but and we did, and we went out and we did more because we knew we had to. It wasn't like I wasn't offended. I was like, you're right. Like, Bifrost, they've launched one project. It went well. They sold out, and they have a reputation that they want to protect, right? And so, they're not going to launch a project that they don't feel has the hype, has the integrity, and can make a good impression as their second project. And so, we went back and we just put our heads down, and I said, I got to get out there in spaces more. And like, we got to, our announcements need to be better, and we just need to level up our game overall. And then, basically Bifrost kind of came back and they said, hey, have you selected a launchpad? Are you still interested? And we said, no, we haven't. And we'd love to launch with you because that was our hope in the first place. And I can't say enough good things about that team. Like, they were willing to not sugarcoat things. They gave us the real feedback. They helped us improve elements of our project. They helped us with the technology, and like, man, I feel so humbled and grateful to be able to have partnered with them. Like, I can't say enough good things about that team.
That's interesting. Like, I just assumed that you guys just had your pick. Like, you could have gone with any launchpad you wanted. I didn't expect you to say, well, they all said no. So that's interesting.
Yeah, like I want to be honest about the journey, right? Because like I don't want to. I'm not into like histrionics and like the history gets written by the winners. I mean, look, I feel like a winner today. Like that's maybe the first time I've ever really said that. But it's the reality is there were multiple times along this path when we were like, dude, are we dead? I feel like we're dead. Like our project's dead. Solana the volume's dead. I had people tell me our art's trash. I told people tell me our project's too complicated. And it's like, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like, and now the art's great, right? Because we sold out,
Right.
So, it's like, you just got to have conviction, right? And if you don't have conviction, then you're going to get upset and you're going to have a thin skin. And if you do have conviction, then you're going to be like, okay, well, that person thinks my art's trash, but it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to go forward.
Dude, it's the truth. I can relate to that, and Bhattman can attest to it. Like, even my shit, like, I've had to push through so many times where I'm like, is anyone going to even care about this? Is anyone going to find this valuable? Like, I think it's the kind of stuff that we all go through. And then when we're in a bear market on this dead-ass chain and, like, seeing stuff not mint out and everything, it makes it even, more difficult. But you guys took the feedback and you did something with it and then it worked. So that is impressive. So good job on that.
Thanks, Kat. I want to actually say, like, I don't actually think it's that impressive. Like, I think the only thing that has made me like, I've said this a million spaces, and I'm sure people are sick of it, but it's like I'm a failed attorney, but I'm a successful marketer, you know, and like it's like you have to believe, and like people are gonna just tell you suck, and like I've had so many people throughout my career like tell me that I'm bad at my job. Like people, you know, whether you know that's their belief or they're trying to be vindictive or whatever, like people are going to tell you that you suck, and you know but like you're just like, okay, that's like your opinion, man, like, and then you keep it moving, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so there are, as I understand it, 3 components to your business divide. Can you explain what those components are?
I sure can. So outside of like the NFT community and you know all of the like the revenue streams that come from that, like royalties, our business has 3 components. The first one is procurement. So if you're like, hey, I want to run a validator, I don't know, Kat, personally, like, do you know where you would go to like get your servers and get your software and like set that all up? If I was like, hey, can you do that for me tomorrow?
No, I have no fucking idea. I'd have to like ask Batman.
Exactly. Well, you can ask Batman or you can ask Sentries. So
yeah, now I got you.
So that's a big part of what we do. So and this stuff matters, like location of servers matters, and yada yada yada. I won't bore people with that. But you know, we can get you basically set up and configured, and then if you have someone to run it in house, then you just take it and you run with it, right? And it's on you. We just get you set up. On the other hand, like most businesses or other projects either don't know how to and or like don't have the time to run validators or RPC nodes, even if they want to make those available to their community. So that's where we can procure the hardware and the software, and then we can run it for you. And that's really like, think about that as like a monthly subscription. That's like a recurring revenue business. And then the third component is the business incorporation piece. And so, one of the things that we found is Panama. We have some unique access through Dave's connections. Dave's a former attorney, so is his father. And so we actually incorporated Sentries in Panama because Panama, as a country and as a government, is very progressive in their attitudes towards cryptocurrency. And so while it's not wholly unregulated, they're very open to the regulation towards it. And so not obviously that doesn't solve implications for people paying taxes in other parts of the world, but we operate there because it's more liberal in its attitudes, and we've also helped other businesses incorporate there as well, so that you're basically not immediately running afoul of securities laws by running your business. So those are like the 3 primary components of it today.
Cool. So like the business incorporation, do you guys help with any type of business that wants that service, or is it all blockchain businesses, or is it only the ones that are doing like the validator stuff, or who are the customers for that?
Yeah, no, actually, that's probably like the broadest customer set we potentially have. So it's really any business. Now, the ones that we have helped have been specifically like Web3 businesses and like DAOs. Mm-hmm. But it as a general like principle, there's just a lot of incentive for like DeFi businesses, Web3 businesses, crypto businesses to check out that market in particular. And I don't know if a lot of people are doing that yet.
That's awesome. So have you begun reaching out to potential customers outside of the Sentries community yet? Or is that something you guys are getting started on soon?
Yeah, that's a big part of like where some of our advisor relationships come in. And so Solar Curve is he's the chief technology officer at a hardware company. They're a very, very large private hardware company, and they are one of the a big provider of hardware to the Solana Foundation. So the Solana Foundation basically has a lot of servers that they've sort of pre-bought for developers, right? And then they will sell those, right? It's like so that they have access, so that as developers come on and come into the ecosystem, they have the infrastructure ready to go, right? And so through those relationships, that's where, you know, we have like lines into the Solana Foundation itself, as well as some other. This is a big partnership area of our business. So like we're working on a few partnerships that'll make our business offerings pretty interesting. I'm not going to say more right now because nothing's done yet. But yeah, so it's the inbound interest has obviously been from within, like, you know, the NFT community. We've had, you know, tons of interest of folks just, you know, from wanting to know what it takes to set up RPC nodes, to how much it costs for a validator, to, hey, like, you know, what, like, let's get down to terms and all that thing. Admittedly, we have not signed a new we have not signed a validator customer yet. We're working on it. But yeah, that's kind of the general thing. I think I hit your question there.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely. You would say, I've heard you say this with my ears, that most projects should be running a validator. And I would say, and I'm sure you would say as well, a lot of projects maybe don't know that they should be running a validator. So we might have some potential project owners in here, or current project owners, that don't know why they should run their own validator or run a validator. So could you explain what why they should do that?
Yep, I absolutely can. And also, I finally, it took me a half an hour, but I successfully made myself a margarita while we were on.
Oh my God,
on this call.
I didn't get a glass of wine. I was like, I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna drink. I'm gonna wait till afterward.
Yeah, so like I have said that. So like, why should you run a validator? Well, it's kind of like, let's go back to what we were talking about at the start. Like, if you're going to explain this to your grandmother, right? So a validator is like a savings account, right? And so many projects will raise funds from their mint, and you know what, they'll have plans to make merch and or to throw parties and or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. But oftentimes, like, they may not need to use the funds immediately, and or they may use some of the funds, and then when it's going to be a while until the next thing hits. So what you should be doing is, if you raise a bunch of SOL, put the SOL in a validator. If you can, and the reason that Sentries is going to put at least 5,000 SOL into our validator. I'm going to do some math here, so everyone bear with me. But you have to burn 1 SOL per day to vote. And that's how validation works, right? Validators are voting, and they have the SOL staked in there because you have to burn the SOL to vote, to show, you know, to have the skin in the game, right? And it prevents, you know, bad actors. So in order to run a validator yourself at break even, you need at least 5,000 SOL, right? You're going to burn 1 SOL a day. And so if a project has 5,000 or more SOL, then they should put it in a validator, and they can run it themselves, and then that's a revenue stream for their business. And if you deposit more than 5,000 SOL, then you're kicking off profit from that thing. And so, you know, it's basically a savings account that pays you yield, and then you can just go in and withdraw your money from it at any time. Meanwhile, I realize we're not altruistic necessarily by nature, but the more validators that we have online, the more decentralized the network is, the more secure the network is. And so there's this thing called the Nakamoto coefficient. You can look it up in Wikipedia, but it's basically, it says like, how decentralized is the network? And we're reasonably decentralized on Solana today, but like there's some gaps, there's some centralization. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, like if you're sitting on SOL, you know, you know, I mean, and you don't want to degen it for your community, then stick it in a validator. If not, delegate it to a validator, right? Because then you're going to earn the APY, and you don't have to run it yourself. So, you know, forget the altruism of it, but like delegate it to a validator, like Sentries, take 0% commission, and you get 100% of your 6% APY.
Excellent answer. Hopefully we got you some more potential customers there to buy.
Let's go.
Okay. So are you 100% reliant on business revenue at this point, or are you raising funds like from VCs? Like, do you have any potential VCs at this time?
Yeah, the answer is so right now the answer is yes. We are reliant on the funds that are not going into the validator. Now, I'll continue to bootstrap this business. Like, we're still a startup, right? Like, I will continue to make sure that we operate, because it does take time to build out that B2B piece of it. And shit, Kat, I forgot. I totally lost your question while I was sidebarring there.
No, it's all good. I was basically asking if you guys are going to be raising venture capital.
VC.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, yes, we would like to, because it would just allow us to go faster, and especially it would allow us to go faster on the software development side. And so there's a bunch of like gaps and opportunities in the market, that we think can be solved with like permissionless software. So yeah, I mean, we'd like to raise money beyond what we did through this mint. But we got to have the right partner, and they got to be aligned. We've talked to some VCs. I'd say like the initial feedback is like they sort of see the opportunity, right? Like they see sort of the total addressable market as being attractive, but it's murky as to who's doing what, like who's going to be able to capture the market share. Is it a is it a winner take all? Is it a kind of a duopoly or whatever, right? And so we are going to, but those conversations are really nascent, so we're going to continue to have those. But also, I mean, getting more business revenue makes those conversations a hell of a lot easier, and it makes it easier to run our business. So we're mostly incentivized to go out and get new customers.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And you're more attractive to, the VCs. So if let's say if you didn't receive any VC money, how much runway do you feel that you have right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think like I'm not trying to avoid it, but I think what we need to do is let the dust settle in terms of like where we're netting out on like the sort of net. Like obviously the max that we could raise is 8K, right? From the mint, but after launchpad expenses and that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, well, let's see where we net out, and then also let's see kind of what the royalties are contributing, and so then based on that we'll make a decision tomorrow on how much, if any, beyond the 5K SOL we'll send to the validator, and then that we'll see kind of where we're at. My guess is like right now, just based on like the OpEx costs, like our recurring costs, like, I mean, probably 6 months, maybe a little bit more. And that's if like we don't, none of the founders put a single additional dollar in there. But like one thing we do plan to do is share financials with the holders of kind of how things are doing. Like I know there's other projects that are doing this, and we're big on the transparency stuff too. So we'll share as much as we possibly can with the holders. So that was a long way of me saying like maybe 6 to 8 months, but I'm not totally sure. I got to look at the actual numbers.
That's bullish. 6 months is bullish without putting any more of your own money into it. Yeah, very cool. Do you have a relationship with Solana Foundation? I'm kind of like fuzzy on the details of that. Is there a relationship with Solana Foundation?
Yeah, there is. So basically, we have like I would say that the Sentries direct relationship is something that we're fostering. I mean, like Nalik knows Anatoly. Like they've had conversations. I don't think Raj or Anatoly minted any Sentries today. But our advisors are basically big like vendors to the Solana Foundation. Like they have very large business relationships with them. And so through that, there's a lot of aligned incentives between what we're trying to build at Sentries and what Solana obviously wants for its chain, right? Like we want to set up more validators and we want more projects validating, and they want to set up more validators and they want more developers validating. And so I'm excited about continuing to kind of foster that relationship. It's pretty nascent, but also I think like what happened today is a good catalyst for us to get in front of the right folks there.
Gotcha. Well, all the business stuff is super interesting. But a big part of any successful NFT project is the community, right? And in your case, like a PFP project. So what is your plan to sustain and grow the community side of Sentries?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that we've been thinking about probably the most, right? So, the first thing that we want to do, that we wanted to do, that we've delivered on is staking. Staking is live right now, staking.sentries.io. Go there, stake your Sentries, start to appear in those snapshots for those B2B rewards. And hey, who knows what else is going to happen? Like we're a team that loves surprises. So I would definitely recommend staking a Sentry. We also have another exciting announcement around some software coming. I think we're gonna tell folks about it tomorrow. And so there'll be, so we have it's look, it's not, we're not gonna change the world tomorrow, but we have some exciting news for holders for sure. And then I think beyond that, it's going to just be being tuned in, being adaptable, paying attention to the meta, understanding like what's working and what's not working, So, I mean, it's our job to go build our business. And again, like this is back to what I was saying. It's like if we go out and we close new business, then it's good for literally everybody. That's like kind of the symbiosis that we were hoping to create. Like I would hope that if Malik and I go out and we close a bunch of new clients, that people are going to be bullish on Sentries, because if you hold the Sentry, every, as we grow, like every one of those dollars and every one of those deals matters to you, right? And yeah, and so that's the future, that's the promise. And then on the other side, like the validator thing, here's another element or angle that people don't think about, right? We have 5,000 Solana. It's in our validator. It doesn't go anywhere. We're not using that for anything. So in effect, your Sentry is backed by the Solana that's in our validator, right? And so, if things really went south, we could always liquidate that Solana and redistribute it to holders. So like, I mean, you're not even risking that much. It was a one sol mint and like you're risking 0.4 maybe. I think I did the math with paper hands earlier. So like our backing value will be like 0.6 sol for a one sol mint. So like, I mean, that's not going to change, and that can go up, by the way. If as we earn more sol, we can increase our self stake in our validator and increase the backing value. So yeah, I mean, we're tuned into this. Like, I feel like that's one of the ways we got here. We listened to the community. We listened to what people liked, what people didn't, and I think it showed up in the way we launched today.
Yeah, that's an excellent point you make too. Bhattman did a nice write-up on you a couple days ago, and that was one of the things that he said. It was a relatively low risk mint, because if it did mint out, you guys were going to refund, and which you just mentioned now. So that's pretty awesome. And one of my favorite parts of the white paper was looking at how much utility you were actually given to the asset, as far as like airdrops and like there's I guess some people refer to it as flex to earn. I don't know if that's what you guys were calling it, but like it's if the percentage of people that are holding the profile or that are using their Sentry as their profile picture, like if it gets to a certain percentage, then you guys are going to do an airdrop and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this has also been a real big learning for us over the course of things. So like, Dave is a big brain. He can come up with like very novel gamification. And so, the initial version of the Sentries project was, again, because we were raising more money. And so, our initial sort of belief and strategy was like, okay, we're raising more money so we can put more money into the validator. And then we can create these NFTs that represent the soul that's staked into the validator. And then we can airdrop those to holders, and there's an arbitrage game. And, as it turns out, people just don't really care. right? Like it's just too much. It's like too taxing. And so, and I think as we went through and tried to think about what are the important things, why should people invest in Sentries? It wasn't about power blocks and load links and all of this stuff. It was really about this infrastructure as a service and sort of, building and growing the network together. And so all of those gamification elements are still things that are like, we could all absolutely do that, right? But I think, it's a big learning in, under promise and over deliver, right? Like make sure,
Yeah.
make sure, like, because if you could have the coolest toy in the world, but if nobody can understand what that toy does, then you're not going to sell any of them. And so anyway, that's a long way of me saying, like, we revamped it, we made it simpler, but in the future, 100%, like, this could be an area where, we would further gamify the validator for holders.
Gotcha. Okay. What would you say the values are of Sentries, of the business in your community, like your values?
Number one, permissionlessness. We want to build a permissionless future. That necessarily means that there's no gatekeeping, that it's anti-racist and anti-discriminatory. And so that's a big thing for us. Number two is education. We want to bring people into this space, not as exit liquidity, but because we believe in the future of this and that, there's a huge opportunity for everybody else. And so we think a lot about not only educating people on, the hardware and the software of the blockchain, but also how do you protect yourself? What does it mean? What does self-custody mean? And we want to continue to make sure that we're investing and fostering those conversations and people and ensuring that people get that knowledge so that we can actually grow. And then lastly, I think just like empathy, and like that's such a big thing for me personally is, like we're not the stars of our own, epic journey. Like we're all just on this rock together right now. And you aren't a co-star and not, and so like, I think people get that shit twisted all the time and it drives me crazy. And so, I would say permissionlessness, empathy, and whatever the third one that I said was. My brain is so fried, Kat.
Well, I'm glad that you had answers, period, because I think a lot of people, a lot of founders, a lot of team members wouldn't be able to answer that at all. So that's great. I'm curious, Divide. Batman and I would like to know, will you be bringing back movie nights on the Sentries Discord?
I would like to, it's like I miss them because I had a blast. I couldn't always tune in, but 100% I hope to. It's really just like I think things change so much, and and it got everything kind of like the momentum really picked up, and but yes is my answer. I would love to bring back.
Yes, that was the correct answer, Divide. You passed that test. We're actually having a movie night tonight after this in the Cat's Crypto Peepshow Discord. We're going to be watching Willow. How do you feel about that movie, Divide?
Oh my God, are you serious? I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh man, I can believe that. That's like kind of a forgotten one.
Yeah, it is. I'm kind of old too.
I wouldn't guess.
I wouldn't guess you're old either. I'm 37, so yeah, I'm by like NFT standards, like crypto standards, I'm like a grandmother.
Ooh, I got you by a few.
Do you? Okay.
But that's why we both know Willow. Okay.
Exactly. That's why we both know Willow. Okay. Okay. So at Cat's Crypto Peep Show, we're pretty fucking degen. So I have to ask you, how degen are you, Divide?
I mean, look, I lost a massive amount of money looping Olympus DAO. I leveraged money on Olympus DAO and lost 100% of it. So I don't know, where does that put me?
Pretty fucking degen, yeah. Yeah, when you were talking about like going over to oh shit, what's the name of it? I can't even think of the name of it now. That one that was gonna have the airdrop and they fucked it all up.
Arbitrum.
Arbitrum, yeah, like Arbitrum. Like that's how I've been since God, like March of 2021, just like constantly following whatever fucking chain there is, and like I'm exhausted of it now. Like I haven't made it over to Doge chain, but Batman went over there and actually made some money. So that's where we are.
Okay, real quick on Arbitrum though. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is like okay, you know how people have like their bad beat stories and like nobody wants to actually hear those. It's like, yeah, obviously, like, yeah, you had pocket aces and they rivered a 2 from their 7-2. It's like, yeah, we get it, right? Anyway, look, this is my biggest win, my biggest crypto win. So I was in this server. This is back in October, maybe September. Yeah, October or September 2021. And this project is launching an Arbitrum called Small Brains. And there were like, I was like early, and so like I got whitelist or whatever. But like I remember they got Sybil attacked on their whitelist stuff. So what you had to do was like draw a picture physically of a small brain on a piece of paper and date it with the current date, take a picture of it, and then submit it. All right, so I did that shit. I bridged 0.1 ETH over to Arbitrum. I mint the 2 small brains, 2 small cars, and something else for $0 effectively. Then like in, I don't know, some point Gary Vee gets involved and that shit just fucking moons. And I sold all that shit for like 10K. And like that was like by far my biggest come up, and I'm still down tremendously on a portfolio basis. But that Arbitrum has a place in my heart.
Nice, very nice. I like that story. Fucking Gary Vee came. Gary Vee made you rich. well, he gave you your biggest win, rather.
Yeah, thanks, Gary Vee. I appreciate it. Also, I don't agree with Gary Vee. Don't grind hard, get 8 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Bullish on founders that are sleep maxis like myself.
Damn, I need to get on that sleep maxi train. I'm like a sleep minimalist lately. Okay. All right. Next question is, what is your preferred pizza topping?
Okay, this is pretty easy. It's pepperoni, obviously, but it's like the small cup pepperoni, right? Like the small ones. You know, they're like little cups.
Oh, the ones that like turn into cups because like they're so okay.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Pepperoni
oh my God,
and
I've
cheese.
never heard it referred to that way. Cup pepperoni.
Yep, 100%.
So, do you like it because it gets those like little pools of grease in it, or what? What is it about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fantastic, and you can fit so many of them on the pizza. Also, like, you know what I mean? It's great.
Oh my gosh, that's excellent. Okay, I think everyone here is probably wondering. I know I'm definitely fucking wondering. Ketchup or mustard?
Ooh, tough one. Mustard, though. Mustard.
That was the right answer. You passed that test too, because we all know that ketchup is a child's condiment.
Yeah, I'm bearish on ketchup, and
I'm
also
bearish as fuck.
Also, ketchup is like so one note, and like mustard is like you have yellow mustard, Dijon mustard, stone ground mustard. Like it's like a cornucopia of options.
I agree. I mean, there's like some really hot fucking mustards out there that I've never had a hot ketchup.
yeah, that's what's up. Hot mustard. That's another one. That's so good.
All right. Well, lastly, before we open it up to audience questions, would you like to give us a little freestyle rap about Sentries? We would love to hear you spit some bars.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is so rough. It's gonna make me feel not tough to do this, but we're gonna get through this because we got to mint day, and if I may say, then we got it our way.
That was fucking beautiful. Divide. Thank you for that. We're gonna moon soon.
When moon?
When? Can't stop, won't stop.
I gotta say, very bullish on Kat and Bhattman. Like this is the most fun that I've had as a guest on a space. I like the questions.
That's what we were aiming for. We were like, we're gonna make this fun for him. This could be the best AMA he's had. We're gonna ask him good questions.
Yo, I mean, look, you achieve, like, mission accomplished. Like, salute. I appreciate that.
Hell yeah, I like that. Well, it has been a pleasure. You're very fun to converse with, Divide, and I hope that this is just the beginning of a very long and enjoyable and fruitful relationship between all of us. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here, and definitely go to staking.sentries.io and stake your sentries. That's what everyone needs to do tonight. They need to sweep and stake. And then he also gave you permission to flip if you want.
Yeah, sweep, stake, and flip. I mean, look, don't, like, if you don't want to share in the upside of the Sentries business, then fine, don't stake your Sentry. Like, whatever. Right. That's like your choice. But if you do, then you should go to staking.sentries.io. And also, we're going to be out here. I'm going to be appearing on Dr. Solana Live Spaces coming up just about an hour from now. Because I'm an egomaniac, and at this point in my life, I don't know what to do when I'm not on Spaces. My wife left me, only temporarily, not permanently, though. Honestly, like, if Sentries didn't sell out, we could have gone, like, that's on me. Like, my wife's a saint. I'm an insane person. But anyway, Kat, Bhattman, I got much love for y'all. Anything y'all need, I'm here. You know where to find me. I appreciate you so much for having us on.
Appreciate you too, man. And appreciate to all of you out there and all you listening to the recording and all that shit. So, all right. Good evening. Good night. See you guys next time.
GN.
Peace.